Hey you guys, I've been wanting to make this video to sort of follow up on things that I have said or predicted. The first thing I want to talk about is the video that I put out a couple days ago, and what happened the day that I put out that video. I had pulled that card, the death card video. That particular night, why I was sitting in the dark is because often I'm pulled out of bed to receive information, and at that time someone that I knew was taking a turn for the worst. Around the time that I woke up, actually, the person passed away. I also have a lot of mixed feelings about what happened, how it happened. I have a lot of distrust for hospitals. Out of respect, I'm not going to talk too much about like that person or who it is, but it was somebody that I've known for a few years that was just a very lively man, and bless his heart, because his angel woke me up that night, and I was like, why am I up? Why am I being directed to talk about death, of all things? There's a reason for everything. Always what's going on in here is the most important thing to deal with what's going on out there. I've watched people and how they make decisions lately as if they're almost robots. Like, they don't take human beingness into consideration. I feel like there's a huge blind spot with some people during this time. Is it appropriate to do updates? Because there were a few videos I've made where I did find out something that had to do with what I was saying shortly after. I mean, that's why I did this channel, so that I could kind of figure out what was what. Like, for instance, in the upcoming election musings, in the King of Swords video, I predicted someone coming out of the woodworks, and I had a feeling about JFK Jr. and out of nowhere, and I've never got a feeling about him before. But that's what came to mind when I was presented with this upcoming person who seemed to be of like a very moral caliber, a very fine person. And that's just the first thing that came to my mind. And then shortly after that, actually that next morning when I woke up, the video about RFK being interviewed, and somebody on the chat asks if JFK Jr. is still alive. Scratch your nose, and he does it, and he does it with this like smirk on his face, and it's so cute.
And the Deitch memo is one of those documents. It was a discovery document that was given to me by Mike Hugo, one of the original
Someone just
lawyers
asked him,
in
touch your
vaccine
nose if
injury
JFK is
litigation,
alive.
who could not, they would settle before they got to a
smirked
jury.
while he did it.
And
Did
they
you
had
see?
to do, not in the public domain. And the Deitch memo is one of those documents. It was a discovery document that was given to me by Mike Hugo, one of the original lawyers in vaccine injury litigation, who could not, they would agree on so many levels.
Touch your nose if JFK is alive.
This memo is one of those documents.
He sees
it was
it.
a discovery document that was
He
given
smirks.
to me by...
Look at that smirk. Anyway, whether that's bullshit or not, things like that do happen often. I'll give you another example. The video I made about Independence Day. Right after that, I was like right about the speech being a sort of catalyst, and like almost like a supernatural one. I don't know if it was like a spell, but here's what it was. It was a call to action. You only really notice it in like 1 or 2 sentences. that he calls upon like normal citizens. He calls on the silent majority to start speaking up.
My fellow Americans, it is time to speak up loudly and strongly and powerfully and defend the integrity of our country. Americans, declare again, as we did 244 years ago, that we will not be tyrannized, we will not be demeaned, and we will not be intimidated by bad, evil people. It will not happen. No person who remains quiet at the destruction of this resplendent heritage can possibly lead us to a better future.
If you haven't seen this, watch it, the whole thing.
We will state the truth in full, without apology. They want to silence us, but we will not be silenced.
Right after that, I felt like completely inspired. I don't know about anybody else, but after that, I did get a little more open about speaking my mind, and I noticed other people did as well, and they felt actually comfortable speaking their mind and disagreeing. Obviously, it depends who you're talking to, but yeah, there was a whole shift that happened right after that. I thought it was a very, very positive thing. People being able to have more honest conversations and not cut each other off so much. It's happening a little bit more and more. There's various other examples. There's very cryptic things too, like the way that I coded one of these things kind of foretold about something that only I would. I'll just say it. I made this video where I predicted someone not being what they seem, finding out something about someone that is very disappointing. And I always try to make it fit into the political lens, you know? It's not, I mean, a lot of times I see it clearly, but sometimes I force it a little bit, and I gotta stop doing that. But I also pay attention to the personal meaning. In one video, I predict a couple things happening. One of them I say, you're gonna be proved wrong about this person. Things aren't as they seem. Right after that, I got really disappointing news. Here's that. I had a lot of unexpected thoughts hearing this news. This is someone that I looked up to. Me and my friends thought we knew. This is a girl's confession. Or not confession, I'm sorry. This is a girl's statement. And there's another girl, this is an ex, just kind of describing the gaslighting, kind of it describes, in my opinion, a bad relationship. I mean, really bad. We've all had them. Let's not lie. And then he does the unthinkable. He actually fesses up like nobody else. And this is the same day that a lot of people got allegations, and he was the only one that actually apologized and addressed each of the allegations. I mean, he took a lot of time to do this, obviously, to craft it carefully. And I think that, I mean, that's the most you can expect a person to do in that situation. He even is saying, don't give forgiveness to people who have not earned it, like, and also the fans, like, don't interfere, basically. Forgiveness will only come, like, he did the right thing, and so I felt really bad about this particular situation. Like, I didn't know where I stood on it. It brought up a lot of weird feelings about, it almost made me feel like I could feel finally for the first time what it would be like to be on the opposite side of of this. And I for once had a little bit of empathy for the abuser, and that just doesn't happen to me. These aren't terrible abuses. They're, like, in my opinion, misunderstandings and bad relationships, and drug problem was involved. It's not the worst of the worst that I've ever heard, but no, it's not great. The other ones that got busted that day were like Jared Leto was just written about how he's been doing this for 20 years, and he didn't fess up, of course. And Justin Bieber was accused the same day by 2 underage women, and he denied it, of course, as well. So I don't know, I got kind of pissed off that he actually, like, apologized and came forward, and, like, people had something to say about even the way he apologized. Like, he can't even apologize right, you know, like, he can't even use the English language the way that he wants to. I don't know, it's just sad that someone can accomplish so much, and then when they're on the verge of being really successful, then that happens to be the time that somebody comes forward with a freaking bag of 7-year-old shit that all of a sudden is not okay anymore. Anyway, that's my see, now I'm getting into the complicated feelings that I have about it. It makes me uncomfortable still. And so I did struggle with that, and that was a personal thing that I saw that happened the next day. And then there's readings that stand for longer than that, if I'm asking a question about a long time forecast. I can see it. But also, like, let's say I do a reading on something that is supposed to happen within the next 3 months. I'm trying to predict the outcome. Now, there's so many variables that change every day. So you have to pay attention to the daily meanings of everything as well. And what happens to me, what's been happening lately, is I'll be proved the very next day, the very next week, about what I just read. It started as a really good way for me to start speaking my mind when I was afraid to. And I dropped little hints kind of in the beginning about some of the psychic changes that I was having. Let's put it that way. When you're in the middle of talking and you forget what you're gonna say, instead of getting upset like I used to, now I just think of it as the word fairies, and they take things away that you're not meant to say out loud. They're little mischievous bastards, but they mean well, and I think they're trying to protect us. Anyway, I'm tired, but I was, like, called awake again. This has been happening to me between maybe 3 and 4. I don't know. After I did that death video, I really started thinking about it, because I was called to do that video at the exact time that this man passed away. And then I thought, okay, so when I'm being called awake, sometimes there's a reason. So I guess I'm gonna have to start an After Dark playlist, because I get called awake often and I like to talk about different things, but if I put it all here in the same place, I can refer back to it, think of all of the things that I woke up with. It'll help me put things in perspective. I think it sounds like something cool to do, but I don't want it to come off like, look at this, I was right about this. Like, because it's really just me trying to figure out, like, the cycles and the patterns, because, like, there's like a recent future that happens like tomorrow, and then there's like a course of like the next few months or the next month. It depends what problem we're focusing on. It depends what information we ask for, what information we want. Word fairies again. It happens a lot whenever you start to talk about something important, especially when you really start to know what you're gonna say next. That's when they come in. There's a lot of other things that I want to talk about and a lot of other videos that I want to make. I just need to figure out the execution of it, because I'm kind of all over the place. You see, I have like my old music. I haven't even put any new music on there. I want to talk about current events more, because I am talking about current events on my channel, but people just don't know because it's kind of hidden under tarot, which is kind of like my plan in the beginning, because I knew joining that censorship was a thing. So I was like, oh, I can just hide under the guise of tarot and they won't take me serious, because I'm just like, it's just new agey. So that was the idea. Like, that's not, I think my audience is confused and doesn't know who they're supposed to be. So what it is, I'll have to say it then. What the goal was initially was to be able to, and what I noticed this year about myself is that when I was reading, I was seeing things outside the scope of my personal life. I was seeing things that had to do with what was going on, that was answering a lot of questions that I had for a long time. At the same time that I'm doing this, there's this whole other thing going on that I want to talk about, but I can't bring myself to talk about just politics and just ideology, because it comes out so harsh and crass for somebody who didn't realize how fucking brainwashed I was. Sorry if I mean, like, it used to offend me to hear people say that. Now I know why. I felt it as an attack on me. I felt it in my heart when people would say that, because maybe deep down I knew that my mind was conditioned, like I was programmed. See, we have this ego, this self-importance about us that tells us we can't be brainwashed, we can't be swayed, we're way too important, we're way too opinionated, and we're way too different. It's just a lie. It's just a lie. Just like a lot of these personality things, distractions, word fairies again. Wow, the fairies are really playing with me tonight. This video's already gone longer than I expected. I really just wanted to say a couple of things. And that concludes this episode of Stephanie After Dark, I guess. I need like an exit. Like, again, hit that like and subscribe and smash that like. All that, you know, I need to do that. Anyway, good night, you guys.